Iceman Gervin, and you're listening to Sweet Philly Radio.
Hey, it is another edition of Sweep the League. Rudy Campos Jr. coming to you live from the Compo Studios. I mean, everybody loves the artwork back there. Believe it or not, these are all puzzles back here. So they're handcrafted by these two fellas right here, basically. So they are all puzzles, except the drawings you see. Shout out to my buddy Tom Gwynn, one of the comic artists. He was the artist for DC Comics. You're a lot of Transformer stuff as well. That Soundwave you see is from Tom Gwynn. Be sure to give him a follow there across social media. But it is Sweep the League. It is another episode here. I'm going to probably be joined by Gio, hopefully later. If not, we have an oldie but goodie. Austin Hartsfield's going to be joining here pretty soon. He's an old Sweep the League guy with us. He was there from probably day one, if I remember, Austin Hartsfield. We got some stuff to talk about. This is going to be an AMA night. Ask me anything you guys want to ask me, whatever you want to ask me, whether it be sports, life, whatever. I don't care. What's up, Wesley? How you doing, man? I love that picture that you have for your profile right there with Victor and the Eiffel Tower and then the lightning striking in the background. What's up, buddy? How you doing, Wesley? Again, it is an ask me anything type of night, guys. If you want to ask questions, you're want to talk some sports or whatever, be sure to visit our partners, man. La Cocina Food Truck, Mudslingers, Burger Boy, Lids, Special Leaf Tea. Hey, didn't mention them last night, but I mentioned them now. Special Leaf Tea. Shout out to Josh out there. I drink this stuff religiously. I've gone from a great big old fat person, for those of you that knew me in the beginning, to losing almost 260 pounds, 250 pounds. So I used to weigh in the upwards of close to 500, $5 bills. I mean, it was right around 470, I think was my highest. And probably now I can say I was weighing 217. Now I'm weighing about 230. I did gain a little bit of weight there, but shout out to our partners, La Cocina Food Truck, Mudslingers, Burger Boy, Lids, and Special Leaf Tea. Shout out to you guys out there. Again, subscribe to our YouTube channel, man. You want to get everything enabled, get all those enables connected on YouTube. We want to get to 1,000 subscribers. We're not even close to 100 yet, but let's try to get to 100 by the end of the week. We're going to be coming to you live every single day, Monday through Friday, sometimes on the weekend, sometimes in the mornings, sometimes midday, sometimes in the evenings. Whenever we can get it in, we're going to give you as much content as you guys can handle. What is up, people? What's up, everybody? So Wesley's in here. Let's start it out. It's ask me anything. Whatever you want to ask me. You want to talk about sports? Talk about sports. You want to talk about life? This whole show, Sweep the League. It's life, it's laughs, it's sports. Whatever you want to talk about, shoot me a question in here. What up, Wes? So, Rudy, what's more likely? Chris Paul and Klay Thompson sign with Spurs or trade for Garland and fill in other vets? The most likely thing for me, if you're giving me those two scenarios, Wes, it's probably going to be Garland. I think that's probably going to be the more likely thing to happen for the San Antonio Spurs. Cleveland's going to win draft picks. Spurs have a bunch of draft picks, especially in this year's draft. If you're going to give up the 4th or 8th pick for Garland, I don't mind that at all. Garland is a proven guy. He's a proven point guard for the Cleveland Cavaliers. I think he instantly becomes an impact for the San Antonio Spurs. Klay Thompson, I would like to see as a Spur, but it has to come cheap. It's got to be cheap. Remember I said $8 to $9 million a year. I think that's very, very reasonable for a guy like Klay Thompson. I feel like that's perfect for the Spurs. Gives you some shooting. You're not asking Klay to do a whole lot at all. Chris Paul, I don't find the Chris Paul thing to happen right now. Chris is kind of towards the back end of his career. He's looking to get, back to the NBA Finals. I see Chris maybe joining. I actually saw him joining the Lakers until LeBron and his agent, Rich Paul, came out and said that he's probably going to be a free agent this summer. So not knowing what that's all about. I think with the LeBron situation, Chris Paul's going to wait to see if even LA is an opportunity for him to go over there. There was some talk about maybe Chris Paul possibly going to the Clippers and kind of teaming up with them. Ballmer has come out and said he'd love to keep James Harden and Paul George to go along with Kawhi Leonard, adding Chris Paul to that group. It's a lot of mouths to feed there. I think Chris Paul would actually do a really good job of running that team. They need a consistent type point guard, a very consistent type point guard, and I think Chris Paul fills that role with the Clippers really well if he decides to go back to Clipperland. Takes a lot of pressure off of James Harden, even though we all know James Harden wants to control the ball. I think Chris Paul there makes a lot of sense for the Clippers. So Chris Paul to the Spurs, I don't see that happening at all. You're more likely going to see the Garland scenario play out more than you would the Chris Paul and Klay Thompson move. So great question, Wes. Again, guys, this is Sweep the League. Rudy Campos Jr. here. Hopefully joined by a couple of the guys later on in the show. It's AMA night, so ask me anything. You guys want to talk about sports? You want to talk about Spurs, football? Anything you want to talk about, even hell, if I don't even know it, we'll chat about it. You want to talk about life? You want to have some laughs? Bring up whatever you want. This is your show. This is a show by the people for the people. What is up, man? Hey, man. My boy Eric Jacobs in here, man. He's in the chat. Of course, he's in the chat, pulling all the fire basketball cards you're pulling in. I think that's what you promised me I was going to get that Willie Mays autograph you had. So I'll be hitting you up soon here. I gotta say, man, JC's in here. JC, I'm sure I told you, man, I've got it here. It's lit. I'm drinking them still. I still got a few more left. Shout out to Special Leaf, proud partners of Sweep the League. Go grab your Special Leaf today. Go grab it today. It's the best thing on the market. I went from, like I said, a great big old fat guy to losing almost 260 pounds, man. So shout out to Special Leaf. That was really good. JC's in here. Yo, looking good, Rudy. We are lucky. 2 doses of you today. You live interrupted me watching the latest episode. My bad, man. You can go back, watch that episode, watch this one later, or join me live. It's an AMA type of night, brother. Thoughts on evolving SA sports media landscape? And the second question is favorite sport to play in space. Give me the shout out on the space one. Are you talking about, I'll give you my favorite sport to play. I mean, I love basketball. So, I mean, if I'm playing in space, would it be kind of hard to play anything in space, man? But thoughts on evolving the SA sports media landscape? You know, the radio side of sports media in SA, it's not great. It's actually going downhill. If it's not going to be buried anytime soon, it probably will be buried. The landscape of sports media in San Antonio when it comes to sports radio, it's gotta evolve, man. You know, podcasting is the biggest thing now. You've got guys like Mike Taylor. You've got the Alamo City Network. You've even got some, you know, not, I don't want to say lower end, I don't mean this, but some guys that are just starting out that are doing a really good job on the podcasting side. When it comes to radio, you hear the same thing over and over again when it comes to radio. And it's a lot of the guys talk about local stuff. And I get it. You're living in San Antonio. You want to talk Spurs. You want to talk Cowboys, Texans, Rangers, Astros, everything. You want to talk about all of that all day, every day. But there's only so much you can talk about when it comes to the Spurs. There's only so much you can talk about when it comes to Rangers and Cowboys. I mean, you know, everybody gets so hyped up for all these teams, and you can only talk about that. I like to talk about I like to talk about everything, the whole aspects of sports, everything that I can't talk about and we'll talk about, we will on this show. I don't like to just keep it to just Spurs. I don't like to keep it to just Cowboys or anything like that. So evolving sports media, I think it's evolving towards the best direction of podcasting to where you're getting a lot more voices in front of you. You've got a lot more opinions. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. Some are great, some are bad. You know, some are head scratching, but the evolving in sports SA media, I think, is going to be in the right direction. It's going to be in the direction of podcasting. I think the radio side, it's got to really work. I mean, true story, man. I've offered to work on sports radio, and I just work on it. I don't give a damn if I got paid. I just got to work around my full-time schedule, and I would have definitely done sports radio, and I would have done it for free. I mean, if I bring sponsors, that's how I get paid. I can get paid by the sponsors or something. But it's going to be podcasting. It's going to be podcasting. And again, favorite sports to play. I mean, it's basketball. Bowling's another one. Man, wait till we get the bowlers on the show here. That's going to be some good talks again. Hey, man, again, appreciate you, JC. Special Leave T, man. Shout out there. Definitely out there. Mr. Leha, back on at nights. What's good, man? What's up, Chris? Yeah, we are back up on here for we are back on the night shift here right now. But what I was mentioning, Leha, was we are going to be doing nights. We're going to be doing mornings. We're going to be doing midday. Whenever we get the opportunity, we're just going to provide as much sports coverage as we can, as much coverage as we can about anything when it comes to sports. Even, we can talk about life aspects, stuff like that. So, Leah, I appreciate you joining in, man. Miss you guys out there. Thanks to everybody for joining here at Sweep the League. And it's AMA night. You can ask me anything. Talk about Spurs, talk about NFL, whatever you want to talk about. We do have a couple of topics that we want to get into as well. Shout out to Leha. MCS General Contracting, man. Definitely hit them up as well. I think they're still hiring. So if you need a job out there, hit up MCS General Contracting. Jay with a laugh, of course, man. We are laughing here. Rumors are going out. Spurs are going after Jimmy Butler. The Jimmy Butler thing, I'm going to be real. I'm going to be honest with you. I haven't heard that part just yet. I haven't heard about the Jimmy Butler rumor that David's mentioning here. But the thing is that Jimmy Butler to San Antonio, I will say I like that a lot better than any Trae Young talk, any Donovan Mitchell talk. I'm a huge Donovan Mitchell guy to San Antonio, but if I had the option to go with a Mitchell or a Butler, I'm going to ride the Jimmy bandwagon. I do like Jimmy. My biggest fear with Jimmy is the fact of his injury. He's injury prone. And when you get good Jimmy and you get healthy Jimmy can lead the team. And I think he would be a great leader for the Spurs. Does he fill a position? Man, that's the question, because if you're keeping a guy like Keldon, if you're able to keep Devin, where does Jimmy fit? You move Devin to the 3. Great. You bring Keldon off the bench. Okay, Jimmy goes to 2. Jimmy can also play the 3. So he does fit. He checks off a lot of needs. He's a scorer. He's a bucket getter. He can shoot the ball. Jacob Erickson here is playoff Jimmy's real. He's a real thing. That's what you need. You need a dog in the fight when it comes to the playoffs. Does that make the Spurs a playoff team if they were to get Jimmy Butler in the offseason? That's the question mark. Again, yesterday's talk was the same squad. I had them at 27-28 wins. Not very much more if you bring the same squad in. If you add Jimmy to the squad, depending on who you give up, I could put them at the 30, 31, 32 win mark. Is that enough to get you into the play-in spot? I don't know, because remember, I said the West is on the verge of just imploding and exploding and everything. I don't think the West is going to be the same type of Western Conference we've been seeing. I feel you're going to see about 6 teams. I think you're going to see about 6 teams probably go through a big overhaul in the West. So Spurs could be better off if they got Jimmy Butler. I do like playoff Jimmy. Regular season Jimmy can also be dominant too, so let's not forget. Love the rumor on the Jimmy Butler part. David, appreciate you joining in. We got a lot of comments here. My dream is to have the longest ball driving range on the moon. Hey, man, if you can dream it, you can do it, JC. Long ball contest. That's crazy, man. That would be awesome. Leha's back in here, man. ESPN SA is booty. Well, the morning show is more than anything. Podcast is the move. You can really speak freely. 100%, Leha. That's why podcasting is the way to go. When we were on the radio over at 9:30 a.m., The Answer, it was myself, Derek, Rocky, Shamaya was there, Stats, Mark was there. The whole crew was there. We had a lot of fun, but we were tied down to a lot of stuff. And one of the biggest things, one of the funniest things was we couldn't mention the word Super Bowl on the air. And we kind of made a whole joke around the whole show about it by saying, well, we're going to have this Super Bowl of chips and stuff like that. And I remember Shemaiah kind of just shaking his head like we are pushing the limits on stuff. But, the ESPN SA thing, I've put my name in the hat over there, and it didn't work out for right now. It could have worked out later, who knows? But I've heard a lot of complaints about a lot of different things, and all I can say is let them do what they've got to do. We're going to do what we do over here. If we make it, we make it. We are also part of the Sports Insanity Network with Mark Harper and those guys up there. So we're getting an audience. We're being broadcast in the New York area with the Sports Insanity Network. So our market's getting big. We got people all over the place that are sharing our streams as well. So appreciate everybody in here. But again, man, what ESPN SA is doing out there, it's their thing. I've thrown my hat in there. And it is what it is, brother. You guys can say whatever you want out here. I have no problem with what anybody says on here. You may have touched on this, but not being mean. How great is Angel Hernandez gone? Angel being gone, man. Man, I'll just say this. Angel had a lot of bad calls. He had a couple of okay calls. I don't find very many great calls in Angel Hernandez's career, but ding dong, the witch is dead, the wicked witch is dead. The Wizard of Oz type talk. Angel Hernandez is gone. It is, again, good, goodbye, Angel. I mean, I was looking at stuff today, some clips, and some of the strikes, like I said, the strike zone was the size of the stadium, and I just never could understand it. But yes, Angel Hernandez is gone. Monetization issue, payments on X will help with crypto. What's up with your league? What league are we talking about, JC? What league are we talking about here? Leha, good to see you here. Playoff Jimmy. Leha, man, everybody misses Leha. That's a fact here. If you're not on the X or Twitter or whatever it is today, definitely get on there. Leha's a great living that special leaf life. Yes, again, special leaf, major partners of Sweep the League. Let's see. Wesley's back in here. My issue with Jimmy Butler is durability, and he's not a creator. Love his toughness, but I'm worried it becomes the next DeMar situation. Great player, not great fit. Can we truly say this? Go back to the DeMar thing. Was DeMar DeRozan a failure in San Antonio? Just because they didn't win titles, they were never a title contending team. They were a playoff contending team. They were never a title contending team with DeMar and LaMarcus. They didn't have the major superstar to get you to that next level. They didn't have a Giannis. They didn't have a Luka, the Joker. They didn't have anybody like that. So to say the DeMar situation was a failure, and I'm not saying Wesley, I'm not saying you saying it was a failure, but to say the DeMar situation was not successful, I don't buy that. It was good. I think they didn't have the right pieces to surround DeMar and LaMarcus at the time. Now, if keeping Derek White would have made a lot of sense, but again, if you don't lose DeMar, DeMarcus doesn't leave, and then you don't trade away Derek or DeJounte, you're not sitting with a 7'4" player in Wembanyama. So that's where I think, the Jimmy Butler thing, man, I like the move, Wes. Don't get me wrong. I like the move. And you're right. The durability, it's the injuries that we see from Jimmy. I can overlook that. Jimmy's worth the money to help this Spurs team. I think he fits really good. You mentioned he's not a creator. You don't really need that creator on this team. You don't need that type of guy. What you need to do is go get a point guard who can help facilitate guys like Jimmy Butler, like Devin Vassell, like Victor Wembanyama. You need to make their lives easier. Now, if you are asking me later on, does Chris Paul make sense with Jimmy Butler as part of the Spurs? 100%. Because now you've got that point guard. You've got the facilitator. You've got the veteran you need. So a Jimmy Butler, Chris Paul, Wembanyama trio, as old as Chris Paul is, that makes more sense to me there. Then you check off every box you need. You have your legitimate face of the franchise, superstar, soon to be all-star, everything with Victor. You go out and you get a Jimmy Butler who, for transparent reasons, he's more than likely going to Philadelphia. Philly is putting all their eggs in that Jimmy Butler basket. So you're talking about Jimmy possibly going to Philly first. But if in chance the Spurs have an opportunity, that checks off another box. Another go-to scorer, a guy who can lift the load off of Victor when Victor is having a tough night, because he will have some tough nights. But at the same time, you've got that 1-2 punch that the Spurs have been lacking, for quite some time. Then you go out and say, okay, let's fill the point guard position. Now it makes sense to go and look at a Chris Paul, or you can still go get a Darius Garland if you want to. So a Garland / Paul, Butler, Wemby type thing, I'm liking it. I'm liking it. I really do like it. I'm not going to lie. I do like that thing. I like that scenario there. Bowling league. So JC, you want to know about the bowling league? So I was in 2 leagues this past year, Monday nights and Friday nights. Friday night's absolute garbage. I'm going to just say it right now. That league, which I bowled at Bandera Bowl, I will never walk into Bandera Bowl ever again. That place is just, to me, it was just bad. Not saying you guys don't go out there, y'all go support whatever, and I'm about supporting local businesses, but personally, I will never go back in there again. But those are the 2 leagues I bowled. Why don't we get together, maybe do a little bowling light? I'm not going to do any professional type bowling stuff for you, JC. So yeah, those are the leagues I was in. Lighthouse coming back in here. Sith is in here. What is up, Sith? Again, it's AMA. It's Sweep the League, man. You guys want to ask me anything? You want to talk about sports? Like I said, life, whatever, man. We need something. We need something here. Yeah, again, Butler at the right price. That's another guy that we can potentially look at. One of the guy I mentioned yesterday was Larry Markkinen. Got to jump on that Markkinen train. Larry Markkinen is a guy you've got to look at. Live question. Movies lately. Caught Furiosa the other night. Decently good. I haven't seen Furiosa. And you know what's weird is I haven't even seen the latest, the newest Mad Maxes. You guys need to tell me about Mad Max. But as far as movie goes, I'm going to be real with you. I just saw the John Wick series. Loved it. I don't know why I didn't see it from the beginning. And I just saw the Equalizer series. So I'm behind on stuff, but I'm catching up. So the movie side for me, I've been on an anime kick. Funny, I've been on an anime kick. Right now I'm watching Hunter x Hunter. I'm on like 101st episode, something like that. I got done with Death Note. I'm watching Demon Slayer at the same time with my daughter. So I've been on an anime kick, JC, lately. But shoot me some movies. You guys want to do? Hey, the man, the myth, the legend, Pledger's in here. James Pledger, man. I'm gonna DM you. I'm gonna shoot you a text when we're done here, Pledge. I got to get you on this show sometime soon. But appreciate you joining, Pledge, man. Much love to you out there. I got some Texans talk that you and I got to get into. 100%. We got to talk about the Texans. In fact, I'm going to talk about them here in a little bit. This says Sweep the League. Let's get Trey's brother and trade that scrub. We need a real point guard. I'm not talking about Paul George. What's Conley doing if the Wolves get kicked? To be honest, Sith, I don't see Conley going anywhere. The Wolves are gonna probably their first move is probably gonna end up being Karl Anthony Towns, 100%. I think that's what's going to really happen there. Karl Anthony Towns is going to be the first guy to be moved to Minnesota. They're going to pay Naz Reid way before they pay Karl Anthony Towns. But we'll get into more of that here. Guys, I'm going to get some more of your comments here. I've got Pledger in here. Let me get Pledger's comment here. Pledge, I'll hit you up here in just a second on the way back. We got more comments here. Special guest joining up here in just a little bit. We're going to go to a quick commercial break. We'll be right back. This is Sweep the League. We'll be right back. Give me about, 20 seconds or so. We'll be right back in a little bit.
Yo.
Hey, this is George Iceman Gervin, and you're listening to Sweep the League Radio.
Hi, it's Sherilyn, and you're watching Sweep the League. Subscribe and share.
Rudy Campos Jr. here from Sweep the League. Hey, make sure you go and follow Sherilyn on Instagram. Just search official Sherilyn on Instagram. What is up, guys? Okay, so we are back on Sweep the League. Hey, you probably are wondering, who the hell is this guy? It's Austin Hartsfield. He's a former host here on Sweep the League, and we've finally gotten him back after so long, man. Austin, what the hell you been up to, man?
Not a whole lot, man. Watching the Mavs. That's all we're enjoying right now.
Oh, I know you're a huge Mavs fan, man. Let me get some of these
I got the
comments.
playoff shirt on. Like, we ready to rock.
I'm not even gonna give you shit about last night's game because I feel
No
100%
D Live. Come on.
Lively's the reason why the Mavs lost that game. You don't see Karl Anthony Towns going off if Lively's playing. So let me get back to some of these comments here, bro. So Pledge is in here. ESPN SA. Shout out to James Pledger, man, producer, the best producer on radio right now, along with our boy Shemaiah Reed, who's a Sweep the League guy as well. Shout out to Stats out there. And man, we got great producers here. James Pledger's one of them there. Need floor spacers and shooting. What if they went for a different Heat player that would cost less than trade capital? Duncan Robinson. So the Duncan Robinson thing, that's an idea. That's an idea. I like Duncan Robinson, and he would make a perfect Spur. But what is the cost for Duncan Robinson? That's the problem I have. I think Miami probably holds Duncan pretty high. Even though he's not a huge name with them, he's not a huge name in the league. They got to hold him pretty high, you would think, right?
With the salary constraints, like I think that they value what he does well, but defensively, it's just a disaster.
But so, even defensively, you don't have to worry about defense. You've got 7'4" length behind you, so
yeah.
I mean, I think Robinson makes a lot of sense, man.
Can we brainstorm good Spurs right now? Because I've been talking about it with my parents and my brother for a while. Yeah. And Wemby's fascinating. Obviously, I mean, look at him. I thought I was spoiled with 77, and now this happens, and I feel like I'm in the torture chamber again. It's been all that time just watching y'all win titles, and then I get my guy, and then all of a sudden, poof.
What happens if 77 goes down 35 and says, you know what, let's go down to San Antonio?
Nah, I'll lose my mind.
Yeah, I'm sure you would lose.
That would be like I still haven't forgiven Finley, like to this day.
Why?
And he's in the front office. Like it's just that's traitor behavior.
So you know what? That's funny because tomorrow I'm on live Locked On Spurs with Jeff Garcia tomorrow.
Okay.
And one of the topics that we discussed was, is it wrong for Spurs fans to cheer for Maverick fans? Like to cheer for the Mavericks in the finals if they make the finals. You say yes. I don't. To me, I don't care. It doesn't.
Of course, you don't care. You won 5 titles.
So like it's wrong for me.
If it was reversed, like if we had the 5 titles and all of a sudden, like it just drives me. Like I don't think Spurs fans understand how spoiled they were for so long.
They did.
Like we were winning 50 games every single year, and we're the second best team in the division, maybe. Like we had one of the great power forwards of all time, the second best in his generation. Like it was painful. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like I've only been alive since '96, and I've been alive for every Spurs title, and 0 Cowboy titles.
Oh well, yeah, we've got to break out the VHS for Cowboy shit, man. But you're really saying you're true that
I don't want y'all.
You would have a problem with Spurs fans cheering for the Mavericks in the finals.
Go cheer for Derek White.
Well, so I've picked Boston way before the season started, and I'm sticking with
better.
Boston pick.
Let's put it that way.
And I like them because of the Drew Holiday pickup. When they got Drew Holiday, I was like, you know what? It's signed, set, and deal there. Because the other part was Denver's bench went to crap. When their bench went to crap, there was no way Denver was going to compete in the West, I think. So you saw that this year. But with Boston getting Drew Holiday, I thought that was signed, sealed, delivered. Boston, give me number 18 on the year on the title list. So I think that's going to be Mark is Laurie Markkinen, man. As a Spur, I've been on that train for a little while. That makes a whole lot of sense. And I know, Pledge, if you're still in here, man, we're going to get to some Texans talk here because that'll piss Austin off just a little bit too.
Speaking of torture.
I agree. I like Jimmy, checks a lot of boxes, just want Wemby to be the featured player and fear that Wemby defers too much to Butler. If they got him, I would be ecstatic. That's the thing, man. Jimmy's a superstar in the league, but I don't think him coming to San Antonio, it does much to Wemby, like as far as him being the number one option. If I don't care, the only person I hope you don't. LeBron James, yes, you don't want him in San Antonio. Kevin,
Correct.
James Harden, those guys, you don't want in San Antonio. Those guys.
KD, I would disagree with.
Which one?
KD, I would disagree with.
Do you think KD would be the second man?
I think that KD being in practice with Wemby would have the same effect that Kyrie with the Mavericks guards has had this year.
You know what, Kyrie, you're right. I like what you said about Kyrie because Kyrie, the statement that I made about Kyrie was the fact that he bought in. He wanted to be the man. He left Cleveland because he wanted to be the man. You know, he couldn't stand next to LeBron, but I think he finally bought into the fact that, you know what, I'm not second fiddle. I'm just the second option. Is what it is. And now you've got to be ecstatic with the way Kyrie's playing now.
You can ask my family, you can ask anybody that I know. Like, I've been a Kyrie hater basically since he asked out of Cleveland. The Boston thing was a disaster. Gabe, who you've talked to before, huge Celtics fan, is not enjoying this Mavericks run. He's actually like, how can he be this person now? But we got to remind people, like, they were probably an inch from going to the title with Brooklyn. Like, they were one KD toe from possibly even winning the title that year, which changes Giannis's legacy. But that's a whole nother can of worms there.
That's funny because in the offseason, we're going to look back at the NBA season and see everything that we had talked about. Like, everybody was so hyped about the Dame trade to Milwaukee, and I'm sitting here back like, y'all just effed yourself with Dame Lillard.
You replaced Drew Holiday with Dame Lillard. Like, what did you expect to happen? Then you fire Adrian Griffith?
Yeah.
For career choker Doc Rivers.
Exactly. And, you know, Doc Rivers is one of those coaches where he just kind of fell into a title, and we see it a lot in the NBA. It happens.
Can we talk about this for a second?
I'll give you a couple minutes to talk about it. We got tons of comments.
Okay. Especially since, hopefully, obviously, we don't blow a 3-0 lead. The aura around Doc Rivers is crazy. Like, oh, that's championship coach. He was gifted the most talented team in basketball before everybody realized that you could kind of do that. And not only that, but Danny Ainge made trades with Kevin McHale. You know, they fleeced Seattle out of Ray Allen.
Yeah.
Like, what did you expect? Like, all that, the person that should get the credit for that title is Danny Ainge.
100%, dude. 100%. And, you know, what's funny is get the title and then you just basically move everybody on and said, F it. Let's start to work on the future. And then they end up drafting Jaylen Brown. They got Jason Tatum. And then look at Brad Stevens, man. I mean, making that trade for –
I can't hide it.
Making that
Brad
trade
Stevens building on the foundation that Danny Ainge had laid, like, without missing a beat. And not only that, but it seems like he fixed immediately what he thought Danny was doing wrong. You know, like, brings in Drew Holiday, you know, goes on a limb and brings in Kristaps Porzingis, which I'm not going to lie, I love KP. So this is kind of painful seeing him across the ladder like that. But just this Celtics team is amazingly built. It's and it's built top to bottom. Yeah.
I think you're going to see, you know, we'll mention it real quick here. I think if you see a Celtics Mavericks NBA Finals, I would be, if I'm a betting man, so I'm willing to bet a good amount of money that we're going to see minimum 6 games.
That's the number I'm at.
Because these teams are so evenly matched, in my opinion. You've got the best backcourt, you know, offensively with Luka and Kyrie against the best defensive backcourt in Derek White and Drew Holiday.
Correct.
So then you've also got, you know, Dallas has the bigs, Lively, Gafford, PJ Washington, to where you've got Porzingis and now Horford on the Boston side. So I kind of give the edge to Dallas when it comes to front court play. So I think these teams are going to be even, and I like the finals if it happens that way. I seriously hope you don't blow a 3-0 lead because
I'd lose my mind.
I probably wouldn't get you back on the show for a good while. I'm talking maybe
a while.
25, 26 season. We'd get Austin Hartsfield back in. Let's get some of these comments, brother. We got, let's see, he was watching, we were talking about movies a while. They asked what movies I've seen lately. The Crow just a couple of minutes ago. That's why I'm late. The New Crow. Was it the old Crow or the New Crow? I haven't seen the New Crow. Have you seen the New Crow that just came out?
I haven't seen the New Crow yet.
Yeah.
The first one's kind of haunting with everything.
It's
I don't revisit it often.
It's one of those movies you kind of watch one time and you kind of like.
Can I ask a question to the chat?
Yeah, go for it,
bro. What's everyone's favorite sports movie? I just want to kind of stir the pot a little bit.
Everyone's favorite sports movie. You gotta throw it in the chat there, man. Thoughts on the Star Wars franchise, favorite character, and rank the top 3. So the last 3 that were released are complete ass. I don't like them. Yeah. It was just regurgitated, shit from the first 3 movies. I'm gonna go personally. Wow, man. Funny. I was never an Empire Strikes Back fan.
Oh, it's my favorite.
I thought it was the most. Movie. I thought it was the most boring of the 3. But once I started,
is it because it's not bookended?
No, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because growing up as a kid, when I saw Empire Strikes Back, I hated it because I hated the whole Dagobah scene. Yoda and Luke. Like, it just, to me as a kid, I wanted to see, the fights. I wanted to see, X-Wings, the Millennium Falcon. I wanted to see Vader, I wanted to see the lightsaber fight. I wanted to see everything. But that whole Dagobah scene just kind of effed me over. So I'm like, I don't like Empire Strikes Back. But now when I look at it, I go Empire, New Hope, Return of the Jedi. And I'm talking Return of the Jedi and New Hope are neck and neck for me. I can't really rank them, but if I've got to do that, it's going to be Empire, A New Hope, and then Return of the Jedi for me.
I think it's Empire, Hope, and then I like Sith. I know a lot of people kind of crap on the prequels.
Yeah, Revenge of the Sith was good. I'll give you that.
I was also of that age to where that was like one of the bigger movies that I remember seeing first, in a theater, and it being wild. So I love Sith. My favorite character, it's Luke in Episode 5. Like, I love Bespin Luke. Cloud City, just it's hard. It's hard to put into words how good Hamill is.
I know, man. I know that, and then to think Mark Hamill. What is
Shout out Rogue One though?
Oh, dude, Rogue One. You know what? I almost have to say Rogue One is probably the best out of every movie. Now, when you say thoughts on the Star Wars franchise, I'm going by the 9 films that are basically tied into the franchise. But if we're talking overall Star Wars, Rogue One's number 1. There's Empire is great. Rogue One, can we say it's damn near? Not even damn near. It's flawless. 100%.
It's
flawless.
The most cinematic of all of them, for sure. And I know it's more because it's recent, but Solo's recent, and it's not really that cinematic, as. I don't hate Solo like a lot of people do, but Rogue One's probably 3. I would probably bump Sith for it.
I'm gonna put Rogue One 1, Empire 2, and then we'll go down the list on that. Real quick, characters. I really only have 2 characters that are top for me. That's Boba Fett and Darth Vader. Everybody else is kind of just fighting for that 3rd spot, man. What do you think about your characters?
Shout out! I want to give a shout out to my little brother because I don't get to do this often. He loves Kit Fisto, and I have I've never been able to pencil it. Why? I think it's because it was one of the first action figures that he got. It was funny. I was at my grandparents' not too long ago, and all the toys are still kind of there, which is kind of awesome to a degree.
Sell some of those things, man. Those got to be worth something.
Hey, they got to be worth something, right? But yeah, no, Kit Fisto. Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi has always hit the spot for me. Like, Bespin Luke's number 1, but Ewan McGregor in Clones and Sith are amazing.
Well, Kenobi, the series, is the greatest series I think I've ever seen.
I love Kenobi.
That was the best series, period, man. We got some pledgers in here. So, Pledge, I promise you Houston Texans talk here in just a minute, man. I want you to stay on that for this one.
Let's go for it.
Real quick, let me get to a couple of the movies you asked. You asked the question. We've got Sith Man. He says, "Remember the Titans, Rocky 3. Pledge is saying Varsity Blues hands down." Major League is making an appearance here. Favorite sport movie? This is, you know what they say, Rambo. Dawson, you know what we're gonna say. Rambo is a sport movie. It's hunting. Hunting is a sport. So John Rambo definitely is a sports movie there. Cinderella Man. Full disclosure, I have yet to see Cinderella Man. I have not seen that.
Oh, Cinderella Man's really good.
I haven't seen it yet.
I asked this question more as like a question for me because I remember we did the sports movie draft, which was awesome.
Yeah,
like a couple years
I
ago.
gotta find that.
I want to use this more to recommend sports movie that people haven't seen.
Mm-hmm.
You said Major League. I think Major League 3 is actually pretty good. Like looking back, I saw it one time when I was young, and I was like, this isn't like 1 and 2, but I really like Major League 3. There's a baseball movie called Sugar, which might be the best baseball movie of all time. It's not a comedy. It's about a younger. I think he's a Dominican kid who kind of goes up through the ranks. Moneyball, if you classify it as a sports movie, which I think it is. It's more of a business movie, but Pitt's also my favorite actor of all time, so that helps there.
You know, and I'll give you one. And if anybody has seen this, give me some shout outs out there, because if you've seen this, then you're a real one. It stars Cheech Marin's in there. It's called The Perfect Game, and it's about the Mexican Little League team as they made their way up to the Little League World Series. That movie is one of the movies that had me like, it hits home, not home, but it hits like the heart, man. It's a great movie. So if you've seen The Perfect Game, give me a shout out there, because that's a hell of a movie right there, dude. Movie talk, man. We got Wesley in here is asking another question. Over and under on Spurs winning 42 games this season. I am way under on that. You think they can get to 42 wins?
Yeah, 44.
Are you what in the absolute F are you doing up there? Because I'd love to know what you're thinking, man. There's no way.
I just think that the point guard play this year was negligible. Like, it was horrible. It was irresponsible to have somebody of this caliber playing in the middle and not have anybody that can throw an entry pass. And
I got so much shit for talking. It's weird because we were talking to Derek Irvin on the show, and I even did it with Jeff Garcia during the season. And I said, it sucks that an NBA player can't make a simple, basic entry pass.
They don't have to anymore, though. That's the problem. Like, on most teams, you don't have to. And now that you have this, and I'm going to say thing because he is just a figment of, like, he is. I don't know how. There's no hyperbole for it. Like, he's special, man. Like, he's special. He rises to the occasion. He's the reason that I believe that the Mavs are in the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah.
Because spoiling the party in Game 82 really changed the seeding up. Between that and the Mavs just throwing the last game against the Thunder so that they were fed to them, were like two of the biggest moves of the entire playoffs. Like, just get people in there, like I love TJ McConnell. I've been a TJ McConnell guy for a long time. I don't think that would be bad. What do you think about the Chris Paul thing?
About him, maybe being a Spur?
Yeah.
So I was mentioning it before you got on here. It does not make sense for Chris Paul to come to San Antonio without insurance policies. And when I say insurance policies, I think when Wesley brought it up, what if Chris Paul and Klay Thompson came? Klay Thompson's not enough to get Chris Paul here. And that's speaking from the Spurs front office. If I'm looking at Chris Paul, it's because I've already got a move to bring in a Donovan Mitchell, a Jimmy Butler, a star. Now, don't give me the Trae Young talk. Trae Young to the Spurs just makes zero sense whatsoever.
Trae Young's a part of one of the worst NBA trades in recent history. So
yeah, exactly. But the
shout
thing
out
with
Hawks.
yeah, thank you, Hawks. Right. The thing with Chris Paul is it only makes sense if you bring in the right pieces alongside him. So if the Spurs were to say, hey, we've got Laurie Markkinen, or we're able to get a Jimmy Butler, then it makes sense because now you need – people are saying Jimmy's not a creator. He doesn't have to be if you bring in Chris Paul. Chris is going to be –
Do you want to bring in Jimmy? Do you want to bring that in?
Again, I think if you're giving up low-end assets for Jimmy Butler, yes. It just depends on the price. If you're asking, does Miami want, a first next year and a first this year and Devin Vassell?
You have assets to blow.
Well, here's the thing. If I'm San Antonio, if I'm Brian Wright, I'm not trading the Hawks first next year. I'm trading
No. That's gold.
Yeah, I'm trading
That's gold. You're not trading any of the Hawks. Any of them. That could be the equivalent of the Baron Davis trade and getting that number 1 pick back. That winds up being Kyrie Irving, ironically.
Yeah, exactly, man. So if I'm the Spurs, and that's what I was kind of saying yesterday was, depending on who I get, if I'm getting a Donovan Mitchell, if I'm getting a Jimmy Butler, if I'm getting a superstar or star like that, I'm trading my 2025 pick all day, every day, because I know that pick's going to be lower than the lottery more than likely. So I'm good with that, but I'm not trading the Hawks pick. So Jimmy to the Spurs makes sense, and that's where Chris Paul comes in. You leave Jimmy off the ball, and that's perfect.
The Hornets pick turns into 2 seconds after a couple of years, right?
I believe so.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, it is.
That's the one you got to move. Hold on a second. I got.
Oh, you're good, man. We got a little dog there with Austin Hartsfield. We're gonna have Austin come back here just a little bit here, but again, he was bringing up the Chris Paul type thing. Yeah, definitely Chris Paul. It's there if it makes sense. It's they got to have the insurance with them. They got to have the policy with them. You don't want to bring in Chris Paul just to the team already as is. Yes, we need a point guard. We've got to get the point guard position filled. You can go out and get, I think, a Darius Garland who makes a lot more sense at the point guard position. There's other guys out there you can get that are going to make more sense at the point guard position. You don't want to go get Chris Paul. He's probably not going to want to come to San Antonio unless, again, you do have more guys coming alongside with him here. This is Rudy Campos up here. Pledge is in here as stands under. Let's see who makes the first move. Okay, yeah, I totally get that. We're going to go to get Austin back in here as well. But, the thing with the Chris Paul thing, it makes a lot of sense if they have somebody, like I said, another star, a younger star, or a middle-aged star coming into the league or coming onto the team to go along with Wemby. It makes a ton of sense, man. So that's what I think with the Chris Paul thing.
Who's the first guy that you moved?
For the Spurs?
Mm-hmm.
That's a good question. I already have one guy in mind. We're going to get to that in a second. Let's take a little quick commercial break.
Go ahead.
This is Austin Hartsfield, Rudy Campos, Sweep the League. We'll come here for the last segment here. Quick commercial break. We'll be right back, man.
Hi, it's Sherilyn, and you're watching Sweep the League. Subscribe and share.
Rudy Campos Jr. here from Sweep the League. Hey, make sure you go and follow Sherilyn on Instagram. Just search official Sherilyn on Instagram.
Hey, this is George Iceman Gervin, and you're listening to Sweep the League Radio.
Shout out to Ice dropping that Sweep the League shout out, and also to Sherilyn. Follow her on Instagram, the official Sherilyn. Both friends of Sweep the League. Austin posed that question: who's the Spur you would give up? Because the contracts make a lot of sense. Because everything falls into place. He's a young guy. It's Keldon Johnson 100% of the time.
Yep.
That's the first guy you would think.
Let me actually, you know what? I laid it out to my mom the other night. Okay. Like, I'm obsessed with like roster numbers and all that. That's a huge thing for me.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can find it.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think Keldon is on $18 million a year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and my brother keeps telling me that, like, oh, but it's descending. I'm like, it descends like $1.5 million.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, it does. Yes. I think Keldon's the more popular choice if you ever want to have somebody that is getting traded. It's probably going to end up being Keldon Johnson. I feel he's going to be the one guy that everybody looks at. But yeah, I think Keldon's, like I said, the popular choice when it comes to Spurs being traded. Let's get into some football talk, man. We're going to end this show here with football talk. Texans talk. We got Austin Hartsfield, who's a Colts fan. We've got Rudy, myself, who's a Falcons fan. Shout out Kirk Cousins, which I'm not too sure about yet. But either way, let's get the NFL talk going here, Jez. Man, NFL is just right around the corner. We are under 100 days when it comes to the start of the NFL season, brother.
Boy.
So I want to get into this real quick. The Houston Texans, surprise team last year. I'm gonna call a spade. Were they expected to be a playoff team? Probably not right off the bat. I don't think they were expected to be a playoff team. Were they expected to be an improved team? Yes, they were. What did they do this offseason? They went out and they just loaded again an already loaded Texan squad. So made the playoffs last year. I'm thinking that it's probably going to be at least a minimum, at least a first round win in the playoffs. I actually have them as the number 2 seed in the AFC when it's all said and done. Going to the Texans, like I said, you kind of follow the NFL as well. You've been a Colts fan, you see the Texans a whole lot. Thoughts on the Texans going into this football season, man?
It's no longer one-dimensional. Adding Joe Mixon doesn't seem to be the talk of the town with Stephon Diggs coming in and the Nico Collins extension, which is perfect timing. The Texans being able to run the ball is so big, so big. You see it with the Colts offense, and eventually, I say eventually, but you never know with Anthony.
Yeah.
You think that we'd be able to pose a threat, especially since we drafted my favorite player in the entire draft this year with Adonai Mitchell. But this Texans team is so good, and I think that the only person that even kind of actually, let me put it this way: I have this thing with Mahomes, right? I'm just not going to bet against Mahomes ever. I'm just not. I'm just not until he screws me over.
It's a Tom Brady effect, man.
It is. It's exactly what it feels like, except it's less painful.
Jesus Christ.
It's a lot less painful.
And what I like about the Texans, bro, is the fact that you go out and get a Stephon Diggs, and he's not even your top receiver. He's probably not going to be your number 2 receiver.
I'm curious to see how he feels about that.
I don't know, and that's something that I'm definitely going to have Pledge on here. I want to talk to Pledge about that because I can truly say that he's going to be fighting for that 3rd receiver spot because, who do you have? You have Schultz there too.
I still think that he'll be the 2, right?
You really think so? Because, you're talking Nico and Tank. Nico and Tank are...
And I love Tank. Exactly. And I hate that I love Tank. Tank is just so fast. I'm curious about. He looked really fast in videos, but we all do this thing in the offseason. It's like, oh, he looks really good. Like Colts fans right now is like, oh, Anthony Richardson has put on muscle. It's like that's not what we asked you to do.
No.
But that trio is better than any trio in football right now.
That entire Texan squad is. I honestly. What is their weakness? I'm kind of scouring the entire roster, and the secondary seems to be their weakness. But
but it doesn't help when your quarterback can't throw the ball because he's on the IR.
Well, yeah.
Sorry, I'm hurting over here.
True that, man. But
I'm trying so bad to buy in. into the AR thing and be happy and be like, oh yeah, no, he's going to be healthy. He hasn't been healthy his entire career.
Brother, I was on the do not draft Anthony Richardson anytime in the first couple of rounds movement there. And he's, excuse me, it's the same thing like Jaden Daniels coming into the season with the Commanders, man. It makes
Can
no
I
sense.
tell a story?
Yeah, go for it.
So for that draft, I went to Matt's house, which is dangerous as it is, but we were like, you know what? We have 2 of the top 5 picks. This would be awesome to watch the draft together.
Mm-hmm.
And then I told Matt, I was like, all I want is CJ. Like, it's all I want. Just take CJ. Just go get him. Just take CJ. Like, the Bryce thing is cool, but he's tiny. And is he a winner? Yes. But he is tiny. CJ could sling it. We all remember the Georgia game. The Georgia game should have cemented the status for everybody.
Yeah.
Even if he didn't win, like, his defense didn't do enough to win. And I know you and I will eventually have a Caleb Williams conversation, which I think that's a lot of it.
We're gonna have to.
But we went, and then the Texans took CJ number 2, and I had like my eyes were like welling up. I'm just like, oh no, like this is happening. And I was like, it's okay, like, let's take Will Anderson. And all of a sudden, we hear the chime. All of a sudden, Texans move up to 3 and take Will Anderson. I was sitting there and like, how on God's green earth do I have the number 4 pick and you picked twice before I did?
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, we got AR, and I kind of had to talk myself into it, and I did. Because that's what we do. We have to. We have to get intoxicated by our own team to an extent. So I've done a really good job about not doing that with the Sox this year. I will say that. Because I knew all that was fake. But I'll say it. I don't trust Anthony to stay healthy at all.
Mm-mm. Neither did I.
Love Josh Downs though.
Oh, the Josh Downs pick, magnificent. It was.
I know. I threw you a bone there. I know. I see you over there.
Not even because he's a Tar Heel guy, but I mean, the Josh Downs pick was great. I mean, that was a great pick for him. But the AR
Ballard in his career is awesome in the second and third rounds. Like, has an extremely high hit rate. His first round leaves much to be desired. I'm a little worried about Latu. It's another guy. Ballard loves drafting guys with injury concerns. Like, really loves drafting guys with injury concerns. But don't thank Cleveland, by the way. Thank Deshaun Watson for screwing up.
But the Latu pick, I mean, every draft, everything that I did video-wise, every draft coverage I did when it came to Latu, I saw so much glimpses of a quick linebacker, a quick edge. And to be honest, and I'm saying it on this show because if it happens, great. But what I saw was if he is a very, very, very healthy career, he has one. I mean, you're talking the likes of, Aaron Donald, quickness. You're talking, I'm going to bring up a name that you would know and a lot of people would know. He flashed like a Derek Thomas type of game for me.
I'm getting too excited.
I don't want to get you too excited
concerned about the neck.
The neck is a huge concern, but I mean, if he basically stays healthy, man, I mean, the sky's the limit for Latu. I love the kid. I was hoping that the Falcons would be able to get him, but that didn't quite go as planned as we decided to take Michael Penix, which again,
you and I haven't talked about it. Can we talk about it?
We got a couple minutes. What do you want to ask me there? Because I know that was going to come up here.
Who did you want and how did you feel?
I wanted an edge.
Okay.
I wanted an edge. Didn't matter who it was. I wanted an
Dallas
edge.
Turner?
Turner was my guy. I wanted an edge. That was it. Nobody else. If I went secondary, I don't remember. I have to go look at the draft, but I think you still had guys.
Was it Quinion?
Mitchell's my number 1 cornerback. So I wanted defense.
Eagles get both of them crazy.
Yeah, I wanted defensive side of the ball. When I heard Michael Penix Jr., I probably banged my head on my desk for a good minute because albeit Penix is a great pick if you don't have Kirk Cousins already signed.
Yes, 100%. Because what message does that send to Kirk?
It basically says, you know what, Kirk, we signed you to all this money. We gave you all this guaranteed money, but we know you can't stay on the field. We don't trust your injury. We're injury prone. We don't trust.
And he's not 22.
No.
That's the difference.
No.
He's not 22.
But this is the other part, is you don't draft a Penix. That's great, fine.
No.
You still
and
have
I really liked him, but not there.
No, you still have tons of guys later on. I mean, so many more. Joe Milton would have been fine later on in the draft. So the Penix pick was very, very heartbreaking for me, knowing that you had so many other holes to fill. You already had your QB. If Kirk goes down, no big deal. You just fill it in. He's there for a few years already. But I don't like the Penix pick. I had a hard time writing my grades when it came to Atlanta because I don't know if you can go lower than an F. I wanted to give them very much lower than an F.
Incomplete.
Incomplete is being too nice for them, to be honest, man.
Yeah, I don't understand. Like, I really liked him. I didn't like the numbers outside the pocket, which I don't think anybody did.
Well, Pledge makes a good point because then it comes back. Well, I'm like you, man. Like the way you talked into AR, I'm talking myself into the Penix thing. Well,
you have to, or we're going to be miserable is the problem.
He said it best, the Jordan Love, Aaron Rodgers thing. He also said it like the Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers thing. I'm thinking, okay, you do that, but why not? Here's my concern. Why not trade down? Get a couple more picks later in the draft. You're going to still get Penix probably a few picks later. There was no other team that was going to draft a QB in that area there.
Like
now,
Denver, all you would have to do is trade in front of the Raiders.
Not only that, Denver was the only other team looking at a QB.
They wanted Bo Nix. They're insane.
100% they did. But if they went ahead and took Penix,
aren't you a Knicks person?
I'm a huge Knicks person. He was the guy that I wanted in Atlanta. So I'm thinking you trade down. If they get Penix, no big deal. We can still get Knicks in the end. I mean, you could have still got a quarterback later in this draft. There was no need to take Penix at 8. None whatsoever. So your AR, frustration is my Penix frustration. I did not want to see that at all, man. It was just terrible all the way around. And it is what it is. The draft is over. Shout out to Kirk Cousins. You better do something. If you love a quarterback, don't mess around with potentially losing your guy. Pledge is making me feel bad for hating this kind of pick, but I don't know, man. I just feel like Penix at 8 was a massive reach. And if you love the guy, yes, but you could have filled in so many other positions.
I just think it's crazy to love him.
It's not bad. It's not bad at all. I mean, Penix is. I had Penix at what, 3 on my board. I had Knicks 1. Actually, I think I had Penix at 2, if I'm not mistaken. So
we had a text exchange to where it was interesting to say the least.
They want to see we got to get a court order to release the text messages on Sweep the League, man. We got to do that, but. Nonetheless, man, we talked a lot about basketball. I answered a lot of y'all guys' questions out there. We talked a little bit about football. We talked Texans. We have Pledge who's trying to convince me that the Penix guy, the draft was a good thing. Pledge, we're going to talk to Pledge, Austin. We got to get Pledge in here probably the next couple of days, if not definitely next week. We'll get Pledge in here to talk some Texans football as well as NFL football. Over here, Mahomes sat, Rodgers sat, Love sat. It's not a bad idea to sit at quarterback. Actually, give him a good chance to succeed. See, this arm is getting just twisted and twisted and twisted.
At 8, though?
That's the question, because Mahomes was what, 10?
10.
Rodgers was 20.
With the trade from the Bills, which just makes it that much funnier.
Yeah. So, 22 was Rodgers. Love
22. Love's around the same area, right?
So, again, you're making a good point, But you could have traded down and gotten Penix at a few. Even if it was at 10 or 11, you're still going to get maybe a third for that extra pick. So that's where I'm saying it's the position of the draft where you drafted Michael Penix that I have the hugest problem with. That's all that it comes down to. I'm not upset at the pick. I just think where you drafted him was the wrong area to draft him. But man, Austin, we got to have you come back some more, dude, because we got a lot of MLB to talk to. The season for MLB it's going. I see Mets fans calling for the city to burn down. I am seeing,
isn't that every year though? Like this is just the amalgamation of everything.
But more so ever this season, I've seen Mets fans.
Those people are also Jets fans. Let's be real; they've endured a lot.
You're gonna probably hate me for saying this, but
I like the Jets this year.
I have the Jets in the Super Bowl.
Oh, I don't like that, but
no, I have the Jets in the Super Bowl, and
I'm picking Kansas City again as my previously stated.
Man, I don't know. I have a feeling this is going to be that Kansas City year where it's going to be a downfall. Not that they're going to be bad. I just don't think they get it done this year. But
wasn't that the last year though? Like, was it last year the down year? Like,
it was.
With all of the weapons, and I know that there are some personal issues going on in that organization right now, which is even crazier. Yeah. Which the funny thing is, it kind of feels like the Warriors season right before that 22 championship, you know, where it's like there's like so much chaos, and it's like they're still going to win, you know, even if that title was a shock.
Yeah. No, I get it. And you know, the Kansas City Chiefs, we're gonna have a whole football show because Gio's gonna come back on. So we're gonna have a whole football show dedicated to a lot of this stuff. But I'm going to leave everybody on a cliffhanger. My Super Bowl picks going into this year. I have the AFC being represented by the New York Football Jets.
Okay.
And I have the NFC being represented by the Detroit Lions. A Jets-Lions Super Bowl, I think, is very capable. So keep that in mind for when we talk about that.
Chiefs-Lions.
So we agree on one team. We agree that the Lions will be there. We'll see what Gio says.
I'm Lions obsessed. Like,
me too.
It's amazing.
Too. Again, they did a Texans thing. They went into the season being barn burners.
Shout out Ben Johnson.
They went into the offseason just continuing to reload everywhere on that squad.
And retain Ben Johnson, which is the biggest thing of all this offseason. I don't think that the casual football fans realizes how massive that is.
Yeah, dude. It's huge. That's why I think the Lions represent the NFC this season in the Super Bowl. And the Jets, man, Jets, Jets. If Rodgers is healthy, then I fully feel that this Jets team is going to get it done this year. And I have the Lions win the Super Bowl. I'm going to leave everybody on that thing right there. I have the Lions as your Super Bowl champs, winning the very first Super Bowl in Detroit history. Austin Hartsfield actually coming on, man. We're going to have him more again. It is a blast from the past, Austin Hartsfield for Sweep the League. Go Mavs for Austin.
God, I hope so.
Until they meet Boston, where I have to take the Celtics over the Mavs. But for Austin Hartsfield, for Coach Gio, for Derek Gervin, Stats, Shemaya, Candace Avila Garcia, everybody that's a part. Rocky, can't forget Rocky. Everybody that's part of Sweep the League. Until we sweep the league again next time, we'll see you later, Knuckleheads.